Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Go ahead and put on your brand strategist hats for this one, because we are decoding the secret language of the supermarket aisles. We're going to take a deep dive into the fascinating economic forces that dictate our everyday purchasing habits. We're going to figure out exactly why we happily pay extra just because a box is, well, shiny. It's an economic structure that perfectly blends two totally different worlds, and honestly, once you see it, you're never going to look at shopping the exact same way again. So let's jump right in.
Here is our roadmap for today's Explainer. First, welcome to the real world. Second, the core definition. Third, differentiation and market power. Fourth, the cost of selling. And finally, freedom, prices, and profits.
All right, part one. Welcome to the real world.
So picture this. You're on your routine grocery run. You turn into the personal care section, and a question should instantly pop into your head. Why on earth are there 50 types of toothpaste if they all basically just clean your teeth? Seriously, think about it. If the fundamental utility is exactly the same, why does an entire aisle need to be dedicated to slightly different mint flavors, varied colored gels, and sparkly packaging? This super relatable consumer paradox is the absolute perfect mystery to introduce today's economic theory. Which brings us right to Section 2, the core definition. Let's lift the hood on this toothpaste paradox and look at the actual textbook theory driving it. The economic term for what you're experiencing in that aisle is monopolistic competition. Now, what's really fascinating here is the exact phrasing. It's a market with a large number of sellers offering somewhat differentiated products that are close substitutes. Notice it doesn't say perfect substitutes. Actually, scratch that. They are definitely not perfect. They're close, but not perfect. It's this incredibly specific environment where tons of companies are fighting tooth and nail for your dollar, but each one offers something just a tiny bit unique.
Look right inside your own bathroom cabinet to see these everyday brand wars playing out. You've got the toothpaste battle, right? Colgate, Pepsodent, Close-Up. Then you have the soap wars, Lux, Peers, Lifebuoy. All of these firms are producing substitutes for one another. If the store is totally out of Lux, you can absolutely just use Peers or Lifebuoy. But they aren't identical. They're sold under different brand names with slightly different formulas or scents. They aren't close substitutes, fiercely battling for your absolute loyalty.
To really wrap our heads around this, we need to realize that monopolistic competition is essentially this wild hybrid between two extreme market forms. On one end of the spectrum, you have perfect competition. That's where you have many buyers and sellers trading totally identical, homogeneous goods. On the other extreme, you have a strict monopoly, where there's only one single seller of a product with absolutely no close substitutes. In our hybrid world, we have the many sellers and buyers aspect of perfect competition, but, and here is the twist, each seller is actually a monopolist over their own specific brand name. Think about it. Colgate has a total monopoly on the word Colgate. This gives these sellers a slight, independent market power to influence their prices, making them what economists call price makers.
Moving on to Section 3, differentiation and market power.
If you want to be a monopolist over your own brand, you have to make that brand stand out from the crowd. So, how do these products actually pull off this differentiation? Well, it's not just a matter of slapping a different logo on a cardboard box. According to the source material, differentiation happens in two main ways. First up, physical traits. This is the tangible stuff. A difference in quality, the size of the bottle, a super sleek design, or eye-catching packaging. Second, and this is equally important, is the transaction setting. This is the entire vibe and condition surrounding the sale itself. We're talking about the location of the seller, their reputation for being efficient and trustworthy, or even the credit options they offer. The physical item and the buying experience completely fuse together to ensure these products remain imperfect substitutes.
Let's dive into Section 4, the cost of selling. All right, so creating that differentiation and then actually convincing you to buy it requires a massive financial engine. The textbook definition here is absolutely critical to understand. Selling cost is the expenditure incurred by the firm to promote the sale of its product through various sales promotion measures. In monopolistic competition, just making a great product isn't going to cut it. You have to capture the buyers. You literally have to scream from the rooftops that your somewhat differentiated product is the exact one they need in their lives. And as you might guess, all that shouting costs a lot of money. Firms spend super heavily on a wide variety of sales promotion tactics, basically to attract consumers and fend off rival brands. And we see these every single day. We're talking about extensive advertisements in newspapers, glossy high-budget TV commercials, and even direct door-to-door campaigns. These aren't just background noise, folks. They are literal weapons in the brand wars. They are massive expenditures entirely dedicated to swaying your preference toward their specific brand of toothpaste or soap.
It is super fascinating to contrast selling costs across different market types because it brilliantly illustrates why these costs are entirely unique to monopolistic competition. Look at perfect competition for a second. Say, farmers selling identical wheat. Do they have selling costs? No way. Because the goods are homogeneous, there is literally no brand to promote. Now look at a monopoly, say a state electricity board. Do they have selling costs? Again, no. There are zero close substitutes, so you have to buy from them anyway, right? But in monopolistic competition, yes, selling costs are absolutely vital here. Because they have competing, differentiated goods, they literally must spend money to promote their specific version, or they will simply be completely ignored by the market.
That brings us to our final part, Section 5, Freedom, Prices, and Profits.
Let's tie the whole shebang together and see how the rules of entry, pricing, and long-term profits finalize this ecosystem. See, monopolistic competition is characterized by the total freedom of entry and exit. There are no massive barriers stopping new businesses from joining the fray, and this creates a very specific economic life cycle. Step 1. An existing firm strikes gold with a new formula and starts making abnormal or supernormal profits. Step 2. Because entry is free, competitors see this massive pile of money and immediately enter the industry with their own close substitutes. Step 3. The total market supply shoots up. Step 4. This influx of competition forces prices down and chips away at market share until, in the long run, returns drop right back down to just normal profits. Free entry ensures abnormal gains are completely wiped out over time, and free exit ensures that firms taking heavy losses can just pack up and leave. It's a beautifully self-correcting cycle.
So, you're probably wondering, how do firms actually survive this relentless cycle? Well, they fight a two-front war. On one side, we have non-price competition. Firms battle fiercely without ever touching the actual price tag. They do this by modifying product designs, changing up packaging, or running those massive ad campaigns we talked about. On the other side, they maintain an independent price policy. Because their product is differentiated, they aren't just passive price takers accepting some uniform market rate. They have slight market power. They can make their own price and output decisions. They set their own price tags. But, and this is a huge but, while they can set the price, the overall market demand still entirely dictates how many sales they're actually going to land at that specific price point. And that leaves us with this number right here, 0. What does this big 0 represent? It represents the amount of price influence an individual buyer holds in this market structure. Because there are a massive number of buyers, no single consumer can walk into a supermarket, demand a lower price for their favorite soap, and expect the market to just shift. Any change in quantity demanded by a single individual has a completely negligible impact. So while the brands are fiercely competing for our attention, we as individual buyers have literally zero power to influence the overall market price.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a provocative thought. Next time you're standing in that supermarket aisle and you reach for a very specific brand of soap or toothpaste, I want you to ask yourself, are you simply buying the product for its raw utility? Or are you buying the packaging, the reputation, the catchy television commercial? Are you buying the power of its monopolistic differentiation? It's an incredible, invisible engine driving our everyday economy, and now you know exactly how it all works. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep asking questions, keep looking closely at the world around you, and I will definitely see you in the next explainer.